Hello and welcome to another Dark Daddies Doing Deeds While Drifting in Dodge Darts, also while dialing in the locations of drug-dealing delinquents. Uncle Gary got arrested last night for arm wrestling a bear episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
How are you, sir?
I am all right. Who's joining us today?
In not the Days Grimm studio today is Donnie Ross. What's up, dude?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Awesome.
Hell yes. We are in an estranged location.
Well, it's nice that we finally get you on the podcast. We met you a year ago when we had Frank Bill on.
366 days ago.
Has it been that long?
Yeah,
Right
according
on.
to Tom. According to Thomas.
Sweet.
Yeah. So 366 days ago we met, and you were smaller than, like, shorter, I think.
I think I was fatter.
So
yeah,
are you
I've
losing
lost
weight?
40 pounds. Yeah.
No shit.
Yep.
Gee,
So it probably gave you the illusion that I was like a snowball, and now I'm like a snowman.
I'm shut. I was a snow boy, and now I'm a snowman.
Yeah.
Dude.
I do this. I'm like a roller coaster fatty. I've lost 100 pounds probably 8 or 9 times in my life. So I'm on the way
God.
back.
Emotionally, that stresses me the fuck out.
What's like one of the big things you cut back on in order to in that time? Like, is it sugar or
The job I'm about to talk to you about.
awesome?
Yeah, it was a ton of stress at the end.
Really?
Toxic. Oh, yeah.
You want to tell our listeners a little bit about?
Yeah, so
your
elevator
career?
pitch. Who is Donnie Ross? And your camera again is right there. So who are you?
Oh, well, I'm a father first, and my husband also. I just retired from the police department in February. Did 25 years, a little more than that, in law enforcement.
Oh yeah.
But before law enforcement, I probably worked 30 or 40 different like manual jobs.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
retail, did all kinds of things prior to becoming a police
Get
officer.
life experience.
Sort of. I mean, my 20s were a train wreck, so
Just kind of birdshot
I
all
couldn't
over.
have been a police officer in my 20s.
No way.
No way.
Just too trouble.
I would have misused my power.
Oh, so you weren't getting in trouble.
I was getting in trouble, but I was doing trouble things, but I wasn't getting arrested.
Did we ask the question before we started the podcast? What do we want to talk about, not talk about?
You said there's just certain things you can't talk about.
Okay, so are we cool to talk about drugs at some point?
But yeah, but I've never done any of that.
Okay, so you weren't getting
I
into
drank
that.
alcohol like crazy.
Okay, so you weren't like into drugs as a kid in your 20s. Okay,
No,
sick,
but I was
dude.
fighting a lot, stuff like that.
That's what's up. Okay, so you do that for 25 years. That's an insane amount of time, and thank you for your time and
Quarter
serving.
century, man.
And that was all in the city of.
Actually, it was in a part of Clark County. So I started as a town marshal in '99 in Borden and worked there for about a year and a half. I finished out another guy's Clinton cop grant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the town told me they weren't going to be able to keep me anymore. And so I had to start searching for where I was going to end up. And I had plenty of opportunities to go to like Indianapolis or Gary, Indiana, because the guys I'd went to the police academy with.
Yeah.
My wife was not having anything to do with that.
Relocating.
That's right.
Oh,
and,
damn.
And in those
areas are way rougher.
She knew they were way more dangerous, and she knew I was a knucklehead at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
then I was like 190 pounds. Well, maybe 220 by then, because I'd put on weight. When I started, I was like the height I am now, but 190 pounds.
So string bean.
I was training all the time with Frank. I just stopped working out with those guys.
Frank is still training. He's
Yeah.
he's in the corner training right now.
100%. And he's
Yeah.
actually he sucked me back in a couple times. He pulled me back in.
He got you back, dude.
But my discipline fails, which is why I get fat a lot. So, and
Dude,
anyway, I
the-
pulled away.
Yeah,
So,
the emotional roller coaster of like being 190, going up to 2, whatever, coming back down to 200.
420 is what I was when I was down there with you guys.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm about 380 right now.
My God, man. Well, congrats on that. For
I have
real.
uniforms from like 34-inch waist all the way up to 54-inch waist.
That's wild, dude.
yeah. Shirts always stayed kind of the same. They were either like 2X, 3X, but
Yeah.
But anyway, go back to there. At that time, my wife had me get one of those big Rand McNally map books.
I don't know what that is.
You know, like the truckers have. Like, you guys are obviously using like iPhones and stuff now, but
Yeah.
with Google Maps.
Oh yeah, I got
Back
you.
then, there wasn't Google Maps.
Like a
So there was-
Atlas
so
book.
you
Yeah.
were finding a truck stop, right?
Yeah.
And so I found an Indiana map. I took a compass. I went river to river's edge.
Yeah.
She didn't want to live farther away than a year from her mother, or an hour away from her mother. I'm
Okay.
sorry. And so 60 miles is what I said. So I measured 60 miles on the map, made a half a circle.
Nice.
River's Edge to River's Edge. There was like 32 police departments. I sent out all these letters. At the time, I had kind of become a canine officer at Borden. I was
Okay.
in the very beginning stages of all of that, very green to it.
Yeah.
And a police department in the town of Sellersburg reached out to me, which was the town over. I didn't have to move. It made sense. They were the first ones to respond and always said that whoever took me is where I would stay. And that's what happened.
And the name of that?
Sellersburg.
Sellersburg.
Yeah, you guys probably, you probably didn't.
How far away is that from?
So it's between exit 7 on I-65.
On 65.
7 miles north of Louisville.
Okay.
And it goes to about 12 miles north of Louisville.
Okay.
It's a urban community.
Okay, nice.
At the time, we were probably 5,500 people. They're probably up to about 8,500 people now.
Damn,
We've got everybody from $850,000 homes in the Fuzzy Zeller covered bridge estates.
Yeah.
All the way down to the mobile home trailer park with no floor in it.
That's where they're making.
So we've got one of the places. Rolling Hills neighborhood's another one. But
Nice.
so anyway, we've got the classes from one to the next stream to the other streams.
We need to come
I
back.
feel like you find that often though in like every town. Like I live in a small outskirt town that Brian absolutely can't stand, and like they have they got like 2 or 3 hidden parks and then like nice estates. And
Why would you even bring that up? Like I had totally forgotten that we had been to your town, and now I'm fucking angry again.
Yeah.
God damn, I hate Boonville. I just want to reiterate the fact that Boonville's downtown area sucks balls. That being said, don't let me forget. I want to come back to means.
Okay.
We need to talk about that. But you've seen and been to. You were in the room when we recorded Frank's episode 124 a year ago. You were there, so you kind of have an idea of the layout, right?
Sure.
You know about the death of the week.
Right.
It doesn't get good from here.
No.
And so this, we're going to go ahead and roll into this week's Death of the Week.
The Death of the Week.
This week's Death of the Week, 2010 Flare Let. That's supposed to be Jet? I don't know. That might be a typo. Anyways, Flare Let L410 crash. On August 25 August 2010, a Let L410 turbo Let passenger aircraft of Filair crashed on approach to Bandundu Airport in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, killing all but one of the 21 people on board. The accident was reportedly the result of the occupants rushing to the front of the aircraft to escape from a stand by and wait for this shit, Donnie. Crocodile loose on the plane. Crocodile smuggled on board by one of the passengers. The move compromised the aircraft's balance to the point that control of the aircraft was lost. And there's a lot of names of like African Congo names that I'm not really crushing right now. I'm going to be honest with you. Is there more to this? Like, Corey, is there some more pertinent information here? This kind of, how do
it
you...
says that it was a round flight trip ordeal and paragraph at like it's like they literally fly, drop people off, pick people up, fly back, drop people off, pick people back up. And like in my mind, aircraft is all done specified to wait because they have to bag the luggage and everything a certain way. So it had to be the people in on like flying the plane and like somebody a part of the company.
Stand by. The only survivor of the crash, so there was a survivor. The only survivor of the crash stated to investigators that a crocodile smuggled in a duffel bag by one of the passengers had escaped shortly before landing, sparking panic among the passengers. The flight attendant rushed towards the cockpit, followed by all the passengers, and the resulting shift in the aircraft's center of gravity led to an irrecoverable loss of control. The crocodile reportedly survived the crash, but was then killed by a blow from a machete. What the fuck, dude? You couldn't have a little mercy?
How big's his duffel bag? How big's the crocodile?
Yeah, I was just saying the crocodile probably couldn't be more than 3.5 feet long.
What the fuck is
lizard.
happening? What the fuck? Who is smuggling Who's smuggling Crocs, dude? Who is smuggling Crocs? Is there a Croc market out there? I'm not underground Croc market. What are you doing? God, have you got much crocodile experience?
Never,
Donnie.
None of it.
What do you
Watch
think
it on
about
TV,
this?
maybe.
You got much flight experience? You fly a little bit?
I think I've flown twice.
So this This is blurry. First off, I don't know what's happening here. Oh, okay, this is super sketchy. But no, it said it had 20 passengers. I'm assuming it's one of those like prop planes, real tiny pieces of shit.
Never been in one of those.
They're not great, dude. I'll be honest with you. If you don't like roller coasters, you won't like flying in one of those. It's not a good feeling. But I couldn't imagine there being a fucking crocodile on my damn airplane. Are you shitting?
Did it need to be petted? Why did you open the bag in the first place?
Right.
Needed a snack.
Yeah.
My crocodile's hungry.
Wild. So
Is that it in the photograph there? That's a big
average.
Oh, it says, yeah, male crocodiles are larger than females and can reach about 20 feet in length, but rarely exceed 14 feet in the wild. Breeding females are about 8 to 12.
My grandparents have like a senior living condo community
Yeah.
to go down.
Where are they at, in Florida?
Yeah, in Florida. And
Yeah.
they're like towards the middle of Florida, like an hour and a half away from like any beach or anything like that. And they have to call people in to fish crocodiles out of the pond there in the community.
That's what I've seen on TV.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You remember that kid in Disneyland that got ate by a crocodile? You remember that?
Yeah,
You
we
talking about
actually,
Peter Pan?
my family and I were in Orlando, not then, but at that location.
No way.
'Cause that's a spot in one of the resorts. Like,
Fucking wild.
You know,
Did they catch that on film? I think it wasn't it on film.
I don't know that.
The kid,
or like the killer whale that kills all the people at the aquarium it's
SeaWorld?
at. Yeah, and then they just transfer it to another SeaWorld.
I have beef with SeaWorld as well. Not cool, bro. They got to cut those whales loose. I've been to SeaWorld. Low key, it kind of sucks balls. Like, it's not that great. Like, B, fucking let those fish out. After I talked with Drew about the orcas and shit, and then we talked about the scale of, like, it would be like a human living in a dog crate. You know what I mean?
It'd be like a human
When you
living
put
in
it-
New York.
No, it would be the opposite. It's like a human living in a fucking dog crate. The tubs that they keep those fish in. It's like, dude, fucking cut that fucker loose. You wonder why those things have killed so many people, especially that one at SeaWorld. He's killed like 2 or 3.
More than that.
Forget his name. You know who I'm talking about?
Billy?
No, they made the movie about Willie, though.
So Donnie, and
Yeah, back to Donnie.
and-
That's this week's Death of the Week. Thank you guys for sitting through that.
in 1999, what makes you enlist to be an officer?
So I was building cabinets at the time. A buddy of mine who went to high school with me, his stepdad was a town marshal. They had just fired the sergeant for striking another officer out there, which is altogether, but it left them an opening. And I'd always talked about getting into law enforcement. I come from a family that had police officers in them, but I just,
So you weren't like the do bad, like you were drinking and getting into mischief or whatever, but like you never had that like angst towards police.
never. No, I was kind of anti-law enforcement in my 20s, just because people that I'd always been involved with, I had been picked on. Like one time I had bought a Mustang and it was frogged out with the spoked wheels and, all
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and the tinted windows. And
Oh, yeah.
honestly, the town that I ended up working for, I used to have to drive through that town to go to a cabinet company that I worked for, and there was a guy there, I won't say his name, but he used to stop guys for legal reasons. Like my tent was too dark, and at the time we had like an emissions testing around here where you had to get your muffler tested for emissions. I think there were only 4 counties in Indiana that were doing that at the time. Lake and Porter County in north up by like Chicago, and Clark and Floyd County, which were down here by Louisville. They made us test for emissions for pollution.
Yeah.
If you didn't have proper emissions testing, then you weren't allowed to get a plate for a registration for your vehicle,
Yeah.
which means you had to keep going back until it was in their parameters, whatever those were. Well, they'd give you a little piece of paper, and you'd have to carry that around, and you'd get a 30-day temporary
Yeah.
until you got it in compliance. Well, this guy would stop me all the time and just was a jackass. I had long hair then, and was like, "You just stopped me yesterday." Like my car is gray primer. It's a Mustang,
Yeah.
2-door Mustang LX, dark tinted.
5-0?
Huh?
5-0?
No, it wasn't a 5.0.
Fox Buddy?
No, I couldn't afford that. Matter of fact, I think Frank and I went to somewhere near LaGrange, Kentucky, and pulled it out of a farm. Some kid used to use it for like just riding around in this. Yeah, it was full of mud.
Was it a 8-cylinder? The 4?
No, 6-cylinder.
6-cylinder?
Yeah, a little LX. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep. Yeah,
I had a
little-
5-0.
like that one right there,
LX.
the second one right there.
Oh,
Yep,
nice,
yep,
dude.
Yep, just like that.
That's my least favorite Mustang.
Yep.
The Fox bodies?
Yeah.
The radio that was in the dash ended up being worth more than the car was.
I loved my Fox body.
Dude, that car is not worth a lot, to be honest with you.
I think I paid I think I gave the dude like $500, and then we had to.
I think you overpaid, bro.
Yeah, probably did. 1,000%.
You ever bought a vehicle for $500, Brian?
No.
I have.
Yeah,
Dude.
I wouldn't put it past you, Tom.
So like, I just have a funny, just law enforcement story. I've ran from the cops in a diaper when they broke a high school party. I went as Tommy the Rugrat for Halloween.
Wow.
Barefoot. Yep, it was fun.
You got a charge in my driveway.
But this $500 truck I bought, the fuel pump was going bad in it eventually, and it was stick. So like, we would try to push start it, and it wouldn't work, of course.
Yeah.
So I had a shovel, and I would beat the thing, the
Alternator?
gas cylinder or whatever, to try to
yeah.
get the fuel pump to kick on
Oh, I
and
got
send
you.
it
Okay,
through.
okay.
And I couldn't get it to start one day, so I beat the shit out of this truck with a shovel in a parking lot. I didn't hit any of the windows, so no glass to clean up, just the body of the truck.
Right.
And somebody called the cops on me. And they
thought
were
you were damaging somebody else's
Yeah.
car.
I mean, I just had a shovel beating the shit out of this truck in a Walmart parking lot, you
That's
know?
common.
Yeah. So
And then they're like, "Do you own the vehicle?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I explained the situation. The officer was like, "All right, have a good day. Next time I get pulled over, the cop literally, I was speeding. My grandpa was dying, and I skipped school to go visit in the hospital.
Right.
yeah.
Forgot about school zones,
Oh, yeah.
and so I was going the normal speed limit in a school zone. And they pulled me over, so I was going like 20 over in my dad's truck, felony.
His dad has a felony.
My dad's a felon or
So the
whatever.
guy-
like,
Okay. So
the
they
plates,
came back to him. I
yeah,
got
the
you.
plates
So
read
they're running
felony.
the plates
Dude,
thinking
before,
it's him, right?
before I knew it, there were 2 more cars that
yeah.
boxed in the truck.
Did your dad have warrants too?
No, he doesn't
No,
have any
okay.
warrants.
But a fun note is he's the third. So the dad is Thomas Grimm the second.
Right.
So
I'm
very
a junior, so I relate.
yeah.
So I hand him the information. I show him my carrying permit. You know, I said don't have a firearm in the vehicle, but you know, just give it to him anyways.
Right.
You know, and he came back and he said, before I say anything at all, what's this about you beating the shit out of a truck in a parking lot? Like,
he knew.
yeah,
He asked
it was
you
in
about it.
the-
He didn't
yeah.
tell me that part.
Yeah, he asked me about it or whatever, and he was like, "All right." And then he asked why I wasn't in school and everything like that, and he said, "Sorry, we freaked you out with all this.
That's
Have a
good.
nice day."
That sounds
you
like
know?
a good policeman.
Yeah, it was a very good
Yeah.
time.
Yep. That sounds like a good policeman.
But yeah, I just thought that story was funny.
Yep.
And then also, did you get arrested in my driveway? I don't remember.
No, I got pulled over and got a ticket in your driveway.
Yeah. He
For
doesn't
possession.
have. He shares the angst for police officers that you had in your
Yep,
20s.
100%.
I don't hate law enforcement. They just drive my anxiety. I feel more
Every time one
anxious.
drives behind you, your heart rate goes up a little bit.
Yeah.
So anyway, that left that opening up in Borden, right? So, but the odd thing about that is the week before at the cabinet company I was working at, there were a bunch of old fellows around. Some of them were really great carpenters, things they did. And they were sitting there at lunch break, and it was almost like the Jaws episode where they're like, "Oh, this was a bite from the manta ray," or "This was a." You remember that episode in Jaws where the skipper and the scientist
They're all showing each
are
other their
sharing each other their
wounds or-
wounds.
Oh,
These
yeah.
old dudes at lunch started pulling. We had just had a guy get hurt there. It was pretty gnarly.
Did he lose a finger?
No. He got smashed by a pallet of wood.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so they started comparing all their scars and wounds, and I was like, damn, I hope that never happens to me, because I had little things, but nothing big. And one of the fellows were like, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's
When.
going to be when and how bad. And I was like, reality kicked in, right? And I was like, well, damn, that's dangerous. And then a week later, I get the call. And then so I chose police work over, because I went and did their physical test, ended up getting second on that. I think I got second or first on the written. And then my oral interview apparently was amazing.
I want to talk about the interviewing process because that is strange.
Yeah, Brian
It's
got
different
turned-
everywhere, though.
Brian's gotten turned down like 6 times for
Yeah,
being
so
a
it's
state
different
trooper.
everywhere. Oh, that's
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't apply for anything other than state police.
Why?
That's just I have a couple buddies that have all done state, and
Yep.
they're like, don't do municipal, don't do sheriffs, go state.
But
State's
what's the
the
reason
best.
for that?
Pays the best. Mostly pays the best.
That's true.
More better.
It used to not be, but it is now.
Better. It's just they like the job overall. Like when they talk to other municipal guys, they're like,
There's probably less political bullshit.
yeah, it's I've just heard that it's better, so I've always applied for that.
But I mean, you have
not
state
6
power in
times.
Indiana. You have statewide power everywhere.
Yeah.
That's a misnomer. A lot of people think that you're in your jurisdiction. No, you can't. You have actually a police officer that's off duty can do more than he can when he's on duty. You want me to explain that?
Does it have to do with a body cam?
No. Has zero to do with body count. I have
He can beat your
in 25 years. I have zero. There's 2 things I'm proud of. There's two things I'm proud of in 25 years.
Yeah.
And when I got this new job, one of them I told him about. I've never been sued.
Sick.
Right. So I've never.
Tight.
There's never been any tort claims filed against me in 25 years. That ought to
yeah.
tell you something about me.
That's
Right on.
a dub.
Right. And then
Yeah.
everything has never had to kill anybody. Right?
Oh, damn.
I've been in some situations, but I never had to kill anybody, so I don't have a body count.
Have you had to put a round into someone though?
No rounds into somebody.
Really?
I shot at a car once that tried to run me over, but that's the only time.
What about
And
a
that was
taser?
late. I've used a taser several times.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Tase him up.
And I've actually you can see in somebody's eyes when they mean something, and they always knew when they were going to ride the electric banana. If I told them they were getting ready to get it, they knew.
about to get that slippery.
well, that's
Yeah, and I would tell them because I took several rides myself during the training prior to us getting those because I really wanted to know, right? So if I tell you this is going to be bad. Now I'll also say this: these new tasers, they suck. They're not like the original. The original ones were way better than the ones that are now, but because of litigation and lawsuits, Taser Axon has had to tweak them back. They've been nerfed.
Do you think that wild time in your 20s helped you read people? You find that
1,000%.
street and all that of like you said, you can
shouldn't
look
even
in
be able to
somebody's
become a police
eyes.
officer until you're 30. I've had to watch 21-year-old guys tell 45-year-old men how to be a husband and a father. Yeah. What's that 21-year-old guy know
The
about
fuck
being
do
a
you know?
husband and a father?
Right.
Yeah. Who the fuck are you?
Right? He might not even had sex yet.
He's a virgin.
You following me?
He might be Mormon. You
Right.
know what I
I'm
mean?
just
Fuck
saying.
this dude.
So I have always been of the opinion you need to be older. Now, there's going to be police officers listening to this go, fuck that dude, right? But you don't have any life experience yet.
What's de-escalation like? Like, so when you get into law enforcement, do they teach you de-escalation?
That's pretty new. That's like in the last, say, decade. That's pretty new. Prior to that, no, there wasn't a lot of de-escalation. There was a book that was out that everybody that cared about that would pass around. It's called Verbal Judo. It was a great book about how to escalate and de-escalate. Because, right, you can do both things, right? If you got a turd that's really smart, you've got or you've got somebody that's, say, an auditor on the YouTube, and he's not disciplined, and you want to tweak the auditor up, there's things you can say to tweak the auditor up.
Yeah.
Because there are police officers out here that are bad guys that don't want to be screwed with anymore, that will go research that cat and figure out who he is. And we all have our buttons.
Put together just
Your
a portfolio.
girlfriend, your husband, your wives, everybody knows your buttons. So if you want to push, because you live with them, you're closer. They know your flaws, right? In the human experience, right?
Yeah.
You're married, right?
Yes, sir.
So she knows your flaws more than most people know your flaws.
Yeah.
She knows when you're passing gas. When you see what I mean?
My neighbors know, dude.
You feel me though?
You get it?
She could,
It's bad, dude.
It's bad gas.
Yeah,
right.
I might have
see
some
what I'm saying?
IBS situation going on.
She knows all your little, if you're picking your nose a lot, she knows you're doing that.
Oh, now I'm nervous.
Right.
Right. So there are people that will figure out when they're dealing with those people. And not just in law enforcement, just in life in general. If you want to be able to manipulate somebody, you learn what their flaws are, and you pick at that like a sweater.
And we kind of blasted past the interview process. I have an interview question, or entry level. So let's back it up just a little bit. And when you first started the force, the interview process at the end, they do the lie detector test, right?
We do not do polygraph.
See, state does. So you didn't have to do a poly interview type thing.
No, I disagree with it.
Did they do it?
It's not effective.
Well, it's like a psychological assessment, right?
They're just checking your. So they're going to ask you questions. I'm not an expert on this, right?
But nor am I.
So they're going to hook you up to some electrodes, and they're going to just like the wavelengths on the sound that we're on this podcast.
And they're going to ask if you've done coke before.
And you have a nervous response.
Yeah.
They're going to say that you're not being honest.
Okay,
you're
sick.
being deceptive.
And then, so that's the end of my interview question.
That's lying is lying, but deception. Everybody uses deception. Yeah. Every week, if not every day.
And you only have to word it a certain way, maybe not to pop.
That's right.
Even
in internal feelings, you're being deceptive. A white lie's deception.
or omission even.
Yeah, because that's it. You're withholding information.
Yeah.
It's not really a lie.
But you're not telling everything.
You're not telling everything. And that happens on every police call, every day, every week.
Did you do any ride-alongs
No.
before? No.
What was the weirdest, and staying on the entry, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. I know I kind of wanted to come back because the entry into the police force, I feel like a lot of people have a lot of questions because, like, so if you are thinking about signing up for the police department or trying out for it or whatever, applying, whatever the proper terminology is, there's a lot that goes into it. And did they do like a recruiting camp or something for you that you went to, like where they would? Did you do anything like pre-workup? Like
for me, none of that.
So you just
for
applied.
Either job.
You just applied.
Yeah. My buddy called.
Mm-hmm.
Said my stepdad's got an opening. I know you were talking about doing it.
Oh, damn.
You got to be there Saturday to take the physical. He's willing because he knows who you are. He's willing to let you turn in your application late.
Yeah.
So there's some privilege.
Yeah.
Right? But not because of my skin color or my sex or my gender or whatever.
Yeah.
It's because of my buddy Scott. It's his stepdad.
Yeah.
That's the privilege.
Has nothing to do with
who
being.
you know.
It's neighbors. It's
who you know.
networking.
It is networking.
Yeah. We were just
100%
talking about this
networking.
earlier.
Everybody on the earth does networking.
100%.
So I took that opportunity because I was tired of going job to job to job to job, and I had a pretty serious wife now, but I'm married.
Yeah.
So, I went and took the physical test and did, because I was fit then. I did pretty well. And so then the guys that actually passed the physical fitness test, which there wasn't a state requirement then. Then when I got hired on, you just had to do better each time they tested you at the academy. Now there's an exit standard and an entrance standard.
Do you agree with that?
I agree that you need to be fit, but I'm not 100% on board with the test that they do.
They do it by age, sex.
No.
It's the same standard
It's
for men,
everybody.
women,
Yes.
age, doesn't matter?
No. And here's the test. You have to run a 330-meter sprint. You got a 1.5 mile run in a certain amount of time. I think the slowest it can be is like 16 minutes, 30 seconds.
It's like a walk.
Yeah, you got to be able to do 25 push-ups. Yeah, you can walk the run, or you can walk the straights and run the curves.
I can walk 3 miles in 16 minutes.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, you can walk the straights and run the curves, or walk the curves and run the straights, and you should be able to get it. Now, you can't walk like you're going into the mall.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to walk.
Yeah.
Like, you got to walk like you have some purpose.
Put a little ass on it.
Yeah, but it's not like you're just pulling the underwear out of the seat of your pants and going through the mall all day long. It's got to be a brisk walk.
So when you first get through the academy, did you have like a partner?
No.
Somebody to show you the ropes? They just threw you in a car and said, get out there?
Let me hit the other. So then you got sit-ups and push-ups too. That's the other two tests. But and 25 push-ups, and you can rest in the up position.
Yeah.
25 sit-ups or 30. It's 30 sit-ups. 30 sit-ups.
And you can rest in the
and
down.
Rest in the up.
Oh, you have to rest in the up?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if your fingers break, there's a protocol, and you can look it up. The ILEA, Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, has a page. You can look it up, and it will tell you what the protocol is for that.
See,
and they're pretty serious about it now. They weren't then.
I disagree with that. I think the standard should be tighter. I think they should make it. I think you should be fit, and it should pertain to your.
It should be more like the fire department guys have to do, like an obstacle course, drag a dummy.
I like that too. Yeah,
climb the steps,
practicality.
Yeah, and there should be. You should. I don't know about firing a weapon, but you should have to do something, because most people that become police officers generally, because they're younger, they're not usually using firearms.
Yeah.
Some people are coming in and they've never touched a handgun in their life.
That's
Other
terrifying.
people are coming in and they've done it all their life.
That
it's
is
just how they
fucking
were.
scary,
it's how they
dude.
were raised. Well, you think about it, like you guys are military guys, right? How many guys
I had
go into
shotguns
basic never
before.
shot a rifle? Or you had?
Yeah, before the military. Yeah,
But how many dudes did you train with that didn't? There were several.
Jake's raising his hand. He did not fire a gun before the military.
There were several.
That is shocking to me.
Yeah.
But also,
But see, that's how we're raised, right?
yeah. It's just it depends
bless
on where.
him.
Thank you. It depends where. So we do have the specs, or I guess the standard pulled up here.
Here you go.
Vertical jump is 16
I
inches.
forgot about the vertical.
Sit-ups is 29 in 1 minute, resting in the up position. 300-meter sprint in 71 seconds.
Yep.
Push-ups, resting in the up position, 25, and a 1.5 mile run in 16 and a half minutes.
So that's pretty good.
That's
about
pretty-
how I shoot. I'm in the middle there, but not in the bullseye.
And I guess, sick, dude.
Yeah, now they do. Yeah.
I think CrossFit's gay, dude.
Some of the lifts,
I think it's gay.
I'm not a fan of.
I hope
them.
I'm not offending you, Frank. I don't.
I'm more of a heavy.
I don't get
heavy
CrossFit.
weights.
I don't like the heart rate while I'm lifting weight. It's like either I'm gonna do cardio or I'm gonna lift weights. I don't want to do them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So, what was it? So, like, what was it like on your first time out?
So I'm unique. So like when I first got hired on, I did like the standards then weren't as high as they are now, and like we weren't in Borden. It's a small community, even smaller than what Sellersburg is, and it's a town marshal. And I was trained by a very great FTO, like the
What's the FTO?
Jerry Basso was his name.
What is FTO though? I don't.
Field training officer.
Oh, okay.
He was ex-military, had gotten in right at the end of Vietnam. Was some kind of special forces group.
Nice.
He was from New York originally. He trained canines.
Gross.
He was squared away. Dude.
So you started with canine training?
Sorta. I was kind of like their bite guy. I basically was their decoy,
blows.
and they let me wear the suit and the arm and the sleeve, and
How rough?
that's how they taught me how to do it.
And each person trains their own dog? Does a dog get passed from person to person sometimes?
It sometimes can, but generally, like you want to keep that dog with that same guy. It's a team,
Right.
So,
And they treat these dogs. They're officers. They're officers of the law. They have badge numbers.
sometimes they have badge numbers,
Right,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they treat them with as much, if not more, respect than
a
like
lot of times,
right.
When
Yep,
you're
a lot of times.
So
when
if
you're
you
starting
assault
in
a
the
dog, it's a big deal.
it's the same as
Yeah,
an
Yeah,
it is.
right,
There's,
okay.
there's an IC code for that.
Yeah.
There's an Indian
Okay.
code for that.
so like when you start, you made me lose my.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to make that point. A lot of people don't know that if
Yeah,
you
we're all over the place right now.
if you do harass a police dog, it's the same as harassing a police
Well,
officer.
battery, not really harass them, but if you batter the dog, it's a crime.
What were we saying? We were talking
I was
about the
saying,
first 2 weeks.
yeah,
Your first stop.
my first traffic stop. So I was stuttering. It was just I don't even remember now, but it was probably just a speeding ticket that this guy was going to get.
Yeah.
I didn't write a lot of those. I'm probably in the early part of my career. I'm probably 80-20, 80% written warnings, 20% citation.
Oh, God bless you.
And it got less than that as I went along.
What do you mean less than that? Like, oh,
I
you wrote less?
I didn't write a citation for probably my last 11 years as a law enforcement officer.
yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Here's
That's what I'm
why.
talking
I'm not
about.
listen, I'm not going to throw the funk on you, but if I stop you today for 20 over and I give you a speeding ticket,
Yeah.
you're going to pay a fine. It's a fine is like $172 now, something like that. Yeah, it's expensive,
That
right?
is sticky.
Right. And if you didn't back then, if you didn't sign your registration, I don't think that's a thing now. But and you hand me your registration, it's not signed. Guess what? That's another $172.
Son of a bitch.
If you weren't wearing your seatbelt, that's another $25. So if I want to triple stack you, I can.
Yeah.
Well, back then, $400. That's a lot of money, right?
Oh yeah.
This is still the 90s. Or no, this is early 2000.
It would be early 90s.
This is early 90s. Okay. Yeah. $400 in 1994, dude. That's fucking, that's
Right?
That's
a
a
lot,
stack.
right. And if you've got a vice, say you're an alcoholic or you smoke a lot or whatever,
Means whatever you're into.
and the kids are in the back seat,
Yeah.
are they going to get their food or are you going to get your vice?
Yeah.
You're going to get your vice more than likely,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sad to say, that's probably true.
Yeah.
So if I stack all these tickets on this person, right, which goes back to this, I'll just say, let's just say I give you a speeding ticket, and tomorrow you go back to your hometown and you're at work, if you work another place, and you get a call that somebody you love just was in a really bad accident, and there's a chance that they're not going to be able to talk to you in an hour. You going to follow the speed limit?
I'm pinning the pedal to the
You
floor.
are, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
Dumping,
so am I. Aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Right. So did that speeding ticket I gave you yesterday, did that change your behavior?
No.
No, it didn't, did it?
No,
All it
fuck
did
no.
was put money in the court system.
That's
Because
true.
out of that $172 in the state of Indiana, back then, all we would get on a conviction is $3. The police department.
That's crazy.
It went into a fund called LECE, Law Enforcement
What the
Continuing Education. It's still like that now, but now we get $4. That's every
Oh.
municipal agency, including state police, in the state of Indiana. All the rest of that money goes to the court to be decided what gets done with that money in the court. So I decided, why am I making the pie
Yeah.
and I'm not even tasting it?
I
Right.
fucking hate
Because the myth is
There's a quota.
you guys are writing all. There is a quota for certain thing, and I'll talk about that in a second.
Good
but there's not
question.
a quota for every day. For everyday police work, there's no quotas unless some chief comes in and has that quota. But legally, lawfully, there's no quotas. Where the quotas come from is when you're working a task force like Operation Pullover, Click It or Ticket, drunk driving task force, like DUI task. Because in order to get that overtime money, which is ran by a government agency through the governor's council, you're required to stop 4 cars an hour. Not required to stop and give 4 tickets, but they want you to have that many contacts, and you usually work a 4-hour block. So that's 16 stops.
That's crazy.
So they're looking. So if you're working seatbelt, you're going to write if you're just writing the minimum, you're going to write 4 seatbelt tickets, and then the other 12 are probably going to be written citations. But there are some hard asses out here that are going to write 16 seatbelt tickets.
God dang.
In 4 hours. And before that kicks off, they will go out and we'll pre-watch intersections
see which
to
ones
see
are the best.
which ones are not wearing the seatbelt the most. Now, Indiana's up to like 95% compliance. But how all that started out was the insurance agency started paying the politicians
Donating.
to make the laws.
Oh.
And they couldn't get police officers early on to enforce seatbelt tickets. So they said, hey, let's come up with this enforcement plan and we'll do OPO. And they pay police officers time and a half.
While we're here on seatbelts, just real quick, tell me if I'm crazy. I feel like seatbelts and abortions have 2 things in common.
Pro-choice.
Thank you. That's where I'm leaning.
So there are
should
there
there
are
not be a
certain ways
choice
around a seatbelt, but you have to apply for it, like medical reason, like if you're too big, if you have some sort of other issue.
Same with your tent. You go to an optometrist and he can give you a permit or an hang on. There's a word.
like
prescription?
a permit.
No, it's like you're excluded from having to follow that law.
Oh, an exemption.
An exemption. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got you.
One of all the EX words.
I get it. Yeah, and there's a lot of acronyms we're throwing out today too.
Well, in this time, like in a career, they probably break things up into 5-year intervals. Like you make it 5 years, that's good. You make it 10 years, you go up another.
So what we say, the thing we would say down here in Southern Indiana is you're a rookie until your 5th year.
Nice.
By your 5th year, you should have seen enough shit to kind of make you not a rookie anymore.
So what was you got a story from like your rookie years that like impacted that entire 5-year period for you?
Just the guy I was just telling you about, Jerry Basso, just his experiences.
Is that the FTO?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Borden. How he was able to just kind of bleed his life experiences into me.
Yeah.
And I've always said I was lucky because my marshal had been in Vietnam, had been a retired Jeffersonville police officer. He was super squared away and wasn't arrogant in any way and was wise, and Jerry was wise. So I was the third. There were only 3 of us. I was the third guy. So I was being trained by fellas that didn't have any air about themselves or weren't cocky, or they just were, they were just established. What I'm trying to say, you can get a 5-year sergeant and he's the one that's like looking to bang heads and make a name for himself,
rough some folks up, ruffle feathers.
I wasn't being trained by those kind of guys. I was being trained by veteran officers who'd been there, done that.
Hell yeah.
Settled down. And then luckily for me, when I went to Sellersburg a year and a half later, the 2 sergeants that I had were the same way.
I want to talk about Sellersburg, right? I want to talk about Sellersburg a little bit.
Because it's a different town altogether.
So you mentioned like the big plush homes that are like $800,000, $900,000, and what was the neighborhood?
Covered
Bridge neighborhood or estates.
Community.
Yeah, estates.
Yep.
And then you mentioned that you had homes all the way down to like dirt floor trailers.
Mm-hmm.
I want to really focus on these dirt floor trailers for a moment. Did you ever see a flag blow up?
Never seen one blow up.
You ever seen one in person?
Yes.
How cool was it?
Not.
You ever had to
Sick.
arrest a naked person?
Think about that. I don't think that I physically made an arrest, but I've been to a couple of those. I had a guy shit in my car one time. He was a little skinny dude.
God.
He was just a jackass. He was a little skinny.
He did it on
guy, and
purpose?
And he wiggled his shorts off and shit in my car.
What a dick.
And then he shit at the sheriff's office, in the jail in the Sallyport. And then they put some sweatpants on him. Well, apparently he had something that he'd taken. They put him in the bathroom, and the corrections officer didn't pay attention to him. When I went in there, he was eating something. So they thought he had taken drugs. There was no way to go. No. So now they put him in sweatpants that the county owns. And now I got to take him back to the hospital.
He shit in these sweatpants too, didn't he? God damn. God, son of a bitch. In the padded
room in the jail, was throwing poop at the nurses.
Oh, my God, dude.
Wow.
Like a little chimpanzee, dude.
Well,
Just slinging shit.
You hear a lot about people throwing shit in jail, too. It's like chimpanzees. It makes a cut, and then it also straight bacteria.
I think it's wild that, like, when you put someone into the prison system, how quickly they do, like, refer to their, like, chimpanzee innate
primal brain.
Primal. You know, something just clicks, and they're like,
we're mammals.
I'm going to throw some shit at the next nurse that walks by.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is wrong? Do it. You just shit in your hand.
Yeah, so they ended up having a spit mask we put on him, and then I ended up buckling him up.
Did you ever, all right, 5-year period, so out of the rookie stage, what would you consider the next 5-10 years? Like that period of law enforcement?
Sophomore slump.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times guys will get into other things. That's where they'll try to.
Can you expand on that? What do you mean?
So they'll try to either go into get on a TAC team, get on a SWAT team.
Oh, okay.
At that point, they might try to get into K-9. So that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of was lucky being at a 3-man department in in the community I was in at 9 o'clock, everything shuts down. There's no grocery stores. There was a gas station that stayed open until midnight, but that was it in Borden. They just roll up the sidewalks. There's a lot of towns like that in India.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But in Sellersburg, we had the Waffle House and the Taco Bell and, all the places that stay open until 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Which is where in the weekends, that's your common place where everybody gets through clubbing and they're going to go. So it makes it easy.
Fights, drugs,
Well, it just makes it easy. It's like if you're a hunter, you go to where the deer are drinking water, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where you go. So you just go sit out in front, and inevitably somebody makes some kind of traffic, they don't use a turn signal or they got a headlight out. They make it easy for you.
Snag them.
Yeah. What was it like training? Like, did you have to train anybody below you or like coming in after you?
Later on, yeah, I did that. So later on, I became an FTO. That's right. And again, for me, so at 5 years for me, I actually had the opportunity to become assistant chief. So I became assistant chief and was assistant chief for 11 and a half years.
So what else does that like entail roughly?
So for me, in the beginning, you're more of a business guy than you are a law enforcement officer when you get in administration.
Well, that's why he didn't write any fucking speeding tickets the last 11 years.
Well,
Donnie, you son of a bitch.
But I would still, because I wanted that money,
No, I
would
get it.
still
I'm
work
joking.
that OPO and that CO
and
all of that, right?
Okay.
Because it's time and a half.
Yeah.
So, but then after the 11, so let's just knock it out real quick. For 11 and a half years, I was assistant chief or major, and that's an appointment. It's not a promotion. And then I was done. My chief was a top-down guy, and I'm a bottom-up guy. We just irreconcilable differences.
Tom's more of a power bottom himself.
And so I had to get out. I couldn't be around him anymore because I'm a community-oriented guy, and he's a me guy. He would do for the community.
Yeah.
He would do for the community if it helped him. Hey, he's still doing it. He's still the chief there.
Sick.
Yeah. So if it involves him getting a bump or making him look good, he'll do for the community.
Fuck yeah.
But if it's just for the community and he's not going to get anything out of it, or a couple of the other officers are going to benefit from it, he's not for it.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I get you now.
So he's a bottom. He's that.
That's
he's
what you're. Okay, now I see.
So he would eat first. You understand this concept?
Yeah.
I eat last.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I eat last.
Yeah, or I'll eat with you, but I'm not eating first.
These guys know. Anytime I cook them dinner, I always go last.
Here's an example. If Mission Barbecue came and brought lunch for the station, you don't know what they're bringing. They're bringing what they're going to bring. They do it for veterans, too, all the time.
Yeah.
He would pick what he wanted, give to his staff, and then call the guys on first shift and tell them, hey, Mission Barbecue brought a bunch of food up here. It's all picked over. Bags are open. Everything's going on.
Yeah.
They're bringing it for the worker bees, not for the queen bee.
Yeah.
Following me?
Yeah.
That's what their idea was, but that's not how he is. And so instead of just blasting out a text, because they can blast out a text that said, hey, one of you son of a bitches left a Coke cup in the line car. Nobody's going to use a line car anymore if you do this again. Right, being jerks to everybody. You could easily send out a thing that said, hey, Mission Barbecue just brought a bunch of food. We're not going to eat it for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Everybody that wants to eat some of it, because tons of food here, come up here and get some.
Yeah.
And that gives everybody 30 minutes that if they want to come and get a free meal that Mission Barbecue just came and brought,
Hell yeah.
they'd be able to get it, right?
Come snag you some.
But not him. He's going to eat first.
He gets in there.
He gets in there, and then if you get some, you get some, and then the night shift comes in, and they get what's left over.
I hate that.
Yeah, so night shift gets shit on all the time like that. So
I hate that.
Anyway, so for 11 and a half years, I worked for 2 chiefs. So I ended
That's
up
like
working for him
16 years in law enforcement at that point.
That's
At the end of
right.
that.
Yeah.
So I got with the detective who was the prior assistant chief before me, the small department, 16-man department. And it was 11 when I started there. And I said, hey, let's switch. I want to go to investigations. You go back to, you always said you made mistakes while you're assistant chief.
Mm-hmm.
Here's your opportunity to fix them, right? So he's like, okay. And I'd gotten with my wife, and I was comfortable to a certain amount of money that I was making. So I ended up getting a movie theater. I had a security, duty security company, an LLC, and I was able to secure a movie theater in Clarksville. And I was we were working there on the weekends. So the amount of money I was going to make permanently working the weekends at the movie theater offset the money I was going to lose to step down as deputy chief.
Oh, nice.
See?
Yeah.
And so my wife was cool with it. Mark was cool with it. And we just basically went into the chief and was like, this is what we want to do. And so he was like, good. Because I had been appointed by the town board when he was appointed as chief. Most chiefs pick their assistant chiefs.
But the county...
But when the first chief that selected me to be his assistant chief stepped down, the town board said, no, we're keeping you.
Okay.
And I think that actually, though, caused animosity between he and I,
because he didn't get to choose
pick who his guy was.
Did he have like a buddy in his pocket?
He probably had somebody he was going to make his Robin.
Yeah,
but they forced me on him.
Nice, dude.
But I think there were people on the board that knew that.
I'm feeling some animosity building here, some tension.
Oh
yeah,
from the get.
So what happens so you did how many years? 25 years?
He started his own private security.
Yeah, I did that in 2004.
Yeah.
So doing highway jobs, just name it, man. If it was a low risk, high reward, I would do it. Fireworks stores, retail stores that during Christmas time, those kinds of places.
Okay.
And we would get, we'd have to. It's a night. You're doing 1099. You're paying your own taxes.
Yeah.
A lot of people do this. There's people doing it in Evansville.
Yeah.
But nice part is like you're also helping the community that way.
Oh
as well.
yeah. But a lot of people don't see it that way. There's auditors that don't look at it like that.
How much? Okay, so I have a buddy. Who was filling me on what an auditor is. Right.
Mm-hmm. There are good ones out here.
Do you know much about these guys?
There's some good ones.
What the fuck is happening? Okay, so what are they trying to what's their point they're trying to get across? They're just trying to make sure that
most of them, I think, are trying to do good. I think most of them are trying to put the feet to the fire of guys that maybe aren't following their constitutional oath the way they should be following their constitutional oath.
Right, and they're just testing a cop, essentially. Like, are your T's crossed, I's dotted?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of the premise of an auditor?
That's the premise, yeah.
And do they go out of their way to get in trouble with a police officer?
There are some of those that do that, but I think the good ones don't. I think the good ones are just doing what they're legally allowed to do, and there are some police departments or police officers or supervisors of police officers that don't want them to be able to do that. So our country's in the shape it's in.
Did you hit a point? I thought
Your brain is moving in slow motion right now. Holy
it was
shit.
before auditors. I remember that. I had it.
Did I hit a point
Jesus Christ.
At what?
No, so like, okay, yeah, here it is. So 25 years in, right?
Right on.
You remember when social media became a thing and started to take off in time?
100%.
A lot of people now, they have social media channels that like almost, it's like back-talking cops, but legally back-talking, like knowing 100% of the laws up to date and being able, did you calibrate this?
The ones that don't, we call them Larry the Lawyer.
So, but like,
that's our nickname for
it.
We got Flat Bill Freddy's. We got all kinds of nicknames.
Do you remember
Nazir Asim, El Sabantes, and own the like Stop and Robs? We got all kinds of nicknames for people.
What was it like being in law enforcement when like social media became big and like you started to deal with more people that?
So for me, it never has been a problem because, like I said, I've never had a tort claim filed against me. So like I've tried to be as chill as I possibly could with people. Again, because I had life experience. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I kind of had been harassed and hassled, but I'd also been treated good too by police officers. So I knew that there's both
sides.
There's the yin and yang of everything for everybody. One of the coolest things I got to do later in my career when I went back to the street after investigations, I actually got invited by the school resource officer to come speak with him to one of the law classes at the high school.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, man. And the teacher there would let me, I told her, I was like, look, I'm different. Like, I'm going to cuss. It's going to happen.
I might be special.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep it real, and I'm going to talk to these kids like they're adults. I'm not going to talk, because every one of them in here can make babies, right? We make babies at 16.
Right.
So we make babies earlier than that. Like, the earliest I know of is a 9 and a 10-year-old had a baby.
What the fuck is actually being said right now?
Right.
What is happening?
Yeah.
A 9-year-old had a baby?
With a 10-year-old.
What the
They're playing doctor.
Yeah, that's happened.
Holy
That's
shit.
the thing. So that it's possible, right? But anyway, the kids in the high school could have babies, so I'm gonna talk to them like they're adults. I tried to teach them, and I come up with this thing, and I perfected it over 3 or 4 years. On a dry erase board, I'd be like, "This is your life, and this is the life of the police officer. You're not crossing, or they're not crossing your path. They're the ones out here enforcing law. You're crossing their path." In order for them to make a traffic stop on you, you had to do something that they reasonably thought was, right, suspicious, like reasonable suspicion, or they have to have probable cause, either one of those things. That's an event. That traffic stop is an event. How you treat them, not how they treat you initially. It sucks that it's like this, right? But they're the sheepdogs, and you're the sheep in the farm, and the farmers, the politicians that elected people to be the police officers and the firemen and all that. The farmer chose who the sheepdogs are. So how the sheep treat the sheepdog is how the sheepdog's going to treat the sheep. Feeling me? So if you as a sheep act like a tiger or a lion,
I got you.
right?
Yeah.
If you act like a tiger or a lion when you're a sheep, the police officer, the sheepdog, is going to think you're being disrespectful to them. So I'd always teach these kids that your first initial response to them, just like when you have an interview with somebody for a job, is going to make or break you. So if you're yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, treating them with respect, sorry, in the future, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. But if you're like, hey, fuck you, pig, motherfucker, what the fuck you think you want? And all
Eat
this
my
kind
ass,
of stuff.
bro.
Exactly. Do you think
you're going to get fucking ripped?
No, it really, at that point, if you were like that with me, I'd just be like, I need your license. You're required to have that by the state of Indiana to operate this motor vehicle. It's not a right? Privilege. I don't need your registration. If you still live at this address on this license, stay in the vehicle for your safety and mine. I'll be back with you in a minute.
Yeah, just like
guess what you're getting?
You got a script. You script it up.
Yeah, guess what you're getting? You're getting a $172 fine. I'm not even going to talk to you about it. There's no reason to argue with you. You've made up your decision. You have a predetermined disposition on how I was and who I was going to be. You didn't give me a chance.
Yeah.
So here's your citation.
I wasn't going to write you a ticket, bitch.
But I'm not going to say, have a good day. I hate that.
You're not getting to have a nice day.
I'm going to say to you, thank you for your cooperation. Because if you didn't cooperate with me, right, now I'm going to have to do things to people that don't cooperate.
Right.
And I don't want to do that.
AKA the banana.
Or other. Or extended baton.
Question.
Or the hands. Or whatever.
Get these fucking hands. I have a question when you're doing a traffic stop. Speaking of compliance or like best case scenarios.
Yes.
Indiana is I believe, a constitutional carry state now. I believe.
You're going to get me down a rabbit hole.
I believe
all of those laws are unconstitutional.
Well, but either way, Indiana, you're allowed to have a concealed carry permit.
Yep.
And I believe it's been changed to constitutional carry now.
Sort of constitutional. They like to call it constitutional carry, but it's not.
We can dive into that more. But my question is,
it's still infringements in there, right?
Yes.
So then it's unconstitutional.
As a concealed carrier, my question is, when I get pulled over, does he know by my tags that I'm a concealed carrier?
Not by your tags, maybe by your tags.
When he runs my plates.
For sure your license, but probably your tags too.
Before he gets out of the car, can he tell if I am a firearm carrier, concealed carrier?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're approaching my car,
don't lie to him.
I never do. No, and I'm actually.
But are you required to tell him in our state? No, I think in Ohio you're required to tell him.
See, I tell him like every time.
That's good.
I don't pull out my card like Tom does.
I don't anymore. I don't carry a
But,
wallet,
like,
so I don't carry my card. I don't carry my gun. I just ID debit card.
Here's my spiel.
Yeah.
I'll give you my spiel, and it might answer the question you might ask. On that FTO I was telling you about, Jerry Basso,
Yeah.
he would never let me make a traffic stop unless I did this first. First, there's a way to approach the driver's side of the car, and there's a way to approach the passenger side of the car. A lot of that's being pushed to where people are wanting you to approach the passenger side now because of people getting hit by cars, right, from behind.
Yeah, you're on the shoulders.
Yeah. So I still prefer to. They've even taken away the post ahead position, so it's where you spin around and look. Like there's all these different spots during the traffic stop where you can be killed at, like at your door, in your car, trailing edge, no man's land, which is in between two cars.
The gap, yeah.
Yeah. And then the transition point, and the trailing edge of the back door, trailing edge of the front door, which is where it opens.
Mm-hmm.
I don't approach a car. I would not go up to a car unless I would always say, sir, ma'am, and I've been wrong about this a couple times. I've had some dudes with beautiful hair I thought were women, so I would call them ma'am. But
don't fuck a pronoun up, dude.
But back then it didn't matter, right? And so it still shouldn't. But I would always apologize if I mispronounced too. If I said ma'am or something.
Right.
Why not? Right? I made the mistake.
Yeah, my
but
bad.
There's a lot of police officers that wouldn't. They'd be like, so what? So what? I made a mistake. But I just felt like it. If I called you ma'am and you're a sir.
My bad.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Appreciate you putting your hand. But so I would tell them, please put your hands on the steering column. Like, and if they put them here, I'd be like, no, on top. Right?
Yeah.
If they don't put them on top, I'm going to ask them again. If they don't again, I'm going to back up the car, and then you're going to get to 2 or 3 cars to show up.
Yeah.
Because you're already not complying with a simple.
Yeah, that guy didn't even approach the vehicle before he called in other people.
With a simple command. I'm just asking you to put your hands on the steering
Simple
wheel.
task.
If you're not willing to do that, you're already, in my mind, I might be wrong, but in my mind, you already have nefarious thoughts about doing things.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you just don't want to comply. Maybe you're just going to be rebellious. That's fine. But because you did that, now I'm calling all of my friends.
Yeah.
Feeling me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But if you put them on top of the steering wheel, there's a couple reasons I did that. One, unless you're an alien and you have a third arm, you can't hurt me now. Right? We all have 2 arms. We all have 2 hands.
Yeah.
They teach you that you have a 2.5 second reaction gap from the person that's going to pull a knife or a weapon or whatever on you. So you're 2.5 seconds behind the ball when violence is going to occur.
Yeah.
If you place your hands for me by me asking you to place your hands on the steering wheel, in order for you to reach for a weapon, you now have to consciously start opening the digits.
Yeah.
If you do that, I'm backing off.
Yeah.
I'm not closing. I'm like, if I'm close enough, I might control that. But generally, because you'd want to control hands.
Yeah.
Can't hurt unless you can breathe fire. Again, if you're an alien, unless you can breathe fire, you can do weird shit. If you're like an X-Man or whatever, then you got me.
Blaine.
There's nothing on my Batman belt that's going to save me from you.
Yeah.
So by putting your hands on the steering wheel, that calms me down. And I always tell them, thank you for your cooperation. I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
And then they don't have, some people are nervous as hell. Do I leave them there? No, you can take them down. And one of the things that always drives me nuts is like where other races of people say they have to teach their children to be that way. I teach my kids that same shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's just general.
Yeah. Like, it's not just that group or this or those groups of people.
It's all learned behavior.
Yeah. Everybody should be teaching your children that. Like, I learned when I went in. So I went on a cruise one time. I was going to the Bahamas. When I got off the boat, bro, there's machine guns there. Like,
oh, yeah.
I wanted to know how those people were thinking. So I like researched that. Like, because I'm going into their world.
Yeah.
They're not coming in. I'm crossing their path.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about just like general. You talked a little bit earlier about like networking, and we spoke about it way early, like about an hour ago. But we talked about networking, and it's just kind of like that gives me a good reason not to be a dickhead, because you never know who you're going to meet and what you can do for them and what they could do for you, i.e., networking. Kind of like the same applies with interactions with police officers. Like, just don't be an asshole.
Me too, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to be a dick during my career.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be a police officer forever.
Yeah.
So now, like, I bump into that cat, and he's like, "Oh, remember what you did to me?"
Yeah.
Right? He could have done it while I was a policeman at the Kroger too, but
yeah.
I I always wanted to be seen later on as a good guy.
Yeah.
I didn't want to misuse
My favorite cop.
and you'd be amazed at how many people would have reached out to me and said that.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't like me because they were young kids or whatever, but I helped them out.
Like, you stay in it long enough, you watch people grow up.
100%, man. And there's some guys that are now businessmen in that community that were, you know, kind of doing mischievous stuff. They weren't assholes. Some of the police officers be like, he's a piece of shit. No, he's not, man. He's not a piece of shit.
So what's it like retiring from law enforcement?
So, I still am in law enforcement. Like, I can't really speak about where I'm at because I haven't got permission, but I work at a university now. So I retired, but got rehired to be a police officer at a university because I couldn't go to another municipal agency and draw my pension.
Are you full-time or part-time?
Full-time still.
So doing 40 hours a week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes more than that.
Does
But
it get slower when school's out?
it's way slower. It's a
summertime?
So it goes back to that, what I was kind of describing about teaching those kids in school. I'm able to like engage with students like I was in high school and kind of help them out with, because sometimes their parents aren't teaching those lessons.
Yeah, it's baffling how little kids are being actually guided nowadays.
Yeah,
Like, there's
because
no
when
guidance.
I would tell those kids in high school how to respond on a traffic stop, like that should be a thing during like your driving. I don't know that they do that because I didn't take a driver's course.
I don't think they did. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's important. You should have police officers come in and teach at least 8 hours of that, a day of it.
Yeah.
You know, and then participate in it. Make traffic stops on the school property and you know, role play.
Yeah.
Or like
I don't disagree.
when you got to like the student drivers, you have to drive so many hours or whatever.
That's
like
right.
have a officer that will pull somebody over.
But it's not like sanctioned. If we knew who the students were in the cars, sometimes we did it like playing tricks with like, hey, you know, you got a welder guy that works at like one of the factories, and he's like, hey, man, my kids are going to be here, and I've already talked with the teacher. I want you guys are going to come through Sellersburg. We want you to pull them over, man.
I want you to rough them up.
Yeah.
Handcuff them, put them in the trunk.
No, none of that.
What?
But so we would.
What? Hold on,
would
Gary,
stop
what do you
them,
want me to do?
You know, we've done it. Guys taking a girl to prom, right? Can you stop me? Or a guy's wanting to propose to his wife. We've done all those kinds of things.
The pregnancy.
Oh, you know what would be
videos
sick? Have you ever? I want to wrap this up. We're over now.
I know, man. I'll talk here.
No, I have such a good question though. McLovin, Superbad. Have you seen Superbad?
I kind of.
I'm getting so excited about this idea, but I think I want to hire you. I want to get you in uniform. We'll take your badge off or whatever, and then we'll go to like a local place where like somewhere, and we're gonna have an interaction, and then you're gonna be like, well, come with me, sir, and then I just and then you let me like beat you up, like fake beat up, and then I'm like, yeah, fuck with me again, pig, you know what I mean? And now I look like a stud, you know. I don't know, kind of like in Superbad. I think it's funny. Maybe not.
Stuff like that with business owners in town where we'll come in.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
He wants to mess with his employees on April Fools.
Have you done stuff like?
Oh, yeah. So on April Fools, he'd come in and we'd have a roll of paper and we'd like, is Mr. Johnson here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we need to see him. What's it about? It's not none of your concern. We just, where's he at? You know, and we would know where he's at. And she's like, well, hang on. She'd pick up the phone. Don't call him. Hang up the phone. And then we just barge our way back in there, put him in handcuffs, and then they're all freaking out like, what? And he's like, call my wife.
Or that, yeah, or that way.
We go out around the corner and take him out of handcuffs. He'd come back in and he'd be like, April Fools.
Got him.
He got all of them.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good as hell.
And it's fun because that's good interaction with the community, right?
Oh, hell yes. Hell yes.
Was there ever a time in this journey of law enforcement where like you wanted to throw in the towel with it, and like we don't necessarily care about like the dark moment itself, but like what pulled you through it? Like after seeing shit like
wrestling that naked guy, you know what I mean?
Or just kids in shitty situations.
The only time I ever really I never wanted to quit doing what I was doing, and as far as the darkness goes, if you can't embrace that, and it sounds dark or whatever, but if you can't embrace the darkness, you can't do this job. And you'll find out that kind of goes back to your question about 5 years.
Like if you can't leave work at work and not take it home.
A lot of times I would sit in front of my house and either just listen to music or play video game or whatever, just
decompress almost.
Decompress a lot so I didn't go
separate yourself before you bring it.
Yeah, because I'm coming into my house and my kids are arguing over who's got the TV control. And now that would make me lose my mind. And I caught myself a couple times and be like, all right, look, you know, you got to leave that here, leave that there. But what made me prosecution, not prosecuting? because they want to get a win. There's too much, in my opinion, Monty Hall law enforcement, and not on the police side, but on the prosecution side, where it's let's make a deal.
God, I hate that shit. I know what
Everybody
you're
is
talking about.
making deals.
Yeah.
Because we don't have time to be in court that long. Or we don't want to put the 7-year-old kid who's been molested on the stand because, in our opinion, in history, they break. And then we don't get to charge the guy again because of double jeopardy. And, you got to play the game, bro. You got to play. You got to swing. One of the things I used to get mad at with little kids when I'd coach them in baseball is they'd stand there and take a third strike. And pros do it too. Swing the fucking bat.
Yeah, what was it?
Why aren't you swinging the bat? There should never be a
You gotta
pro that
strike
goes
anyways.
down watching.
Wayne Gretzky, man.
When you got 2 strikes, swing the bat.
Yeah.
I tell my kids that all the time. You're against the wall now. You got 2 strikes. Play. You play the game. Whatever it is in life, swing the fucking bat. Right?
Good.
So what pulls you out of that?
So
the game, you know what I mean? So this is aggravating and frustrating when
so
you're
I
seeing
have a
it.
family to feed. And what else am I going to do? Making the money I make.
And you
So
think that,
you just suck it up, bite your lip, move on.
so do you think your family is your driving force?
100%.
Mentally, that's what kind of when you see the game being played, you're like, fuck this, man. This is fucking dumb.
Oh, 100%.
But then you think about, mama and kids at home and you're like,
100%.
tighten the fuck up.
Well, because I see
Yeah.
most single parent families, whether it's a man or a woman,
Yeah.
those children are neglected, not purposefully, because they need both energies.
100%.
They need both energies. Like sometimes my wife's mad at the kid and I come in and I kind of be the counselor. Sometimes I'm mad at my kids, my wife come in, she be the counselor,
Yeah.
right? They need both those energies. And when they don't have both those energies, now sometimes grandparents or aunts and uncles will step in that void, and that's good.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, anytime I've ever had to deal with a shithead kid that's been a shithead kid from the time till now, till they're adult, it's because of that. They don't have any resource. They don't have that family structure.
Framework.
Yep.
And that's why I built a network.
Donnie, I have had nothing. It is, to say this was a pleasure would not.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Seriously,
Oh,
thank
my
you so
pleasure.
much, brother. Thank you for your 25 years in and the additional work you're doing on our college campuses.
Awesome.
Campus.
Yep.
Can't say the name, but
Yep.
you're doing good work for us. You're helping those kids stay safe. Just really, really appreciate you. You're a good dude, man.
Thanks, man.
And we
I
had a
try
lot of
to
fun.
be.
Honorable.
So you guys, thank you if you've made it this far. Thank you for listening, man. Another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm. My name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
And this has been Donnie. Thank you so much, Donnie.
Appreciate you.
All right. Kill it.